Broadcasting from parts unknown, it's
Tales from a Dive
Bar.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tales from a Dive Bar podcast. JD and the Raven here. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat from you. He is coming all the way out here from the wonderful city of parts unknown, Chicago, Illinois. He hosts the Stand Up Showdown Throwdown, where millennials take on Gen Xers to see who's funnier. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Chicago comedian Todd Glover.
What a welcome.
So, Todd, how's everything been? What's going on in the wonderful city of Chicago?
Oh, the city is great. We do not have a rat problem here. That's fake news. We do not have a pothole problem. No one's stealing any packages. Everything is great. Our mayor is doing a wonderful job.
Are you finding...
I was late because there was a cat in my yard that scared me, and I went and got him some cat food so that they hang out in my yard to kill the rats, because the rats are for real.
So how many cats do you have?
I don't have any cats, but as soon as I see them in my yard, it's almost like the mob movies where they leave you, like, the cat takes the head off the rats and leaves the body for me. So I'll go out there every 2 weeks with a shovel and find a dead rat, and I'll be like, oh wow. I'm just numb to it. At first you're just grossed out, and now I'm like,
at this point you have a collection of rat skulls sitting around in some random box.
I don't understand why the city isn't doing anything. I think they don't know what to do.
That's a good question. I mean, like, what could be the solution? I know that some cities are using rat terriers, and they'll actually run them around at night along the garbage areas, like New York. I know they do that. There's TikToks for that, too, where they have the dogs. They show the dogs running around at night. They do live broadcasts of it where it's it's rat terriers chasing down the rats and chewing them up and then trying to usher them out of little walls, and it's pretty wild.
I mean, originally I actually did hear that they did bring in extra cats.
We just have the stray cats or whatever they are. I'm not sure. It's the big thing on the Facebook neighborhood groups that people post pictures of cats and like, whose cat is this? I'm going to see. Just leave it alone. If someone's missing a cat, we'll let you know. Everyone wants to save the world, and it's like, come on, man. It's just a cat.
Well, that's the thing, is all of the groups out there want you to get your cat spaded, but we need the cat population to still be at equilibrium to fight against the city rats. And they can get pretty big out there. I mean, I've seen a good 2.5 pound rat. I mean, I've seen rats that are bigger than your dog, the Raven.
That's gross. Actually, I saw a rat for the first time in my life. The other day when I was coming home from work, I worked downtown and I looked over and I was like, whoa, that's a rat. He's so big. He almost looks like a bunny.
So you stepped out of the boner pill factory.
Yes.
And we can't mention their names due to legalities, but there was just a random rat there standing there waiting for you to give him a smoke.
Probably, but he was also like playing with a bird. Like they looked like they were frolicking together. It was a weird day. Maybe too much boner pills.
I've named the rats that are in my yard, and I've got one. I call him Fat Willie. He's so fat, he waddles. He's just like, blah, 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 blah. I got one I call Speedy Gonzalez. I got another one I called him, I think I called him, AC Slater, because he was good looking. He was really handsome and buff. I'm like, is this a good looking rat?
That's so cute, though. I kind of like them.
I wonder if you have the rat sitcom going on amongst them, and then you have Todd Glover's cats killing them off, and that's getting introduced into the series.
Probably.
I don't know what to do. I tried everything, and I don't want to do the poison with the kitties in the yard now, so I don't do any poison. And I tried to do the, baking soda. That doesn't. These rats, I'm guessing they're immune to everything. They're survivors, man. They're just digging up my yard. It's the digging up of my yard that I have a problem with. It looks like a third world country back there. Just a disaster.
Yeah, I have the chipmunks chewing through the patio here in my backyard. There's just multiple random chipmunk holes where they run through and basically terrorize the little chihuahua we have here. But let's jump to something else. You started telling jokes back in the college school cafeteria, and you just never looked back. I mean, I read that from your bio, so I guess I get it.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself now if you could bump into yourself in college?
What I would tell myself is keep going. No matter how hard it gets or no matter how impossible it seems, keep doing it. And it's the hardest thing you could ever do. Stand up, it is, and it's changed. So when I started doing stand up, you had to write your jokes, you had to perform your jokes, you had to produce your act. That was all you had to do. And you had to book all your own stand up. Now I also have to market myself. I have to do all my own flyers, social media, buy ads. I mean, I spend hours learning how to do all of this stuff to promote myself and my shows. But it is, it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. When it goes well, there's nothing that beats it. Even when I have a great show, I'm like, I just want to get back on stage. I never want to get off the stage.
Yeah, there is like an addiction to it. You almost get addicted to the anxiety and the nerves that come along with doing anything on stage when you're talking on a mic.
Yeah.
The work that you put into it as a comedian, and then when you get the payoff, you're like, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm not going to a birthday party. This is why I'm not going to, a concert. I'm doing it. So when it does pay off, it's pretty good. And things are starting to really turn around for me. So I'm loving it right now. And I'm loving the Second City show. It's great. We've got a 60-seat theater and it's perfect size. Acoustics are great. The comedians are great. Next month, we go up to a 90-seat theater, and I'm so excited. All I ever wanted to do was perform for Second City, and now I have no idea how this all happened, and I get to be an independent producer with Second City, so it's pretty awesome.
With the new kids coming up in here, would you say that, there's obviously a lot of different things that the Gen Zers are going to have to do or adapt to that otherwise didn't exist with the Gen Xers. I assume you're probably a decade older than me, so you would that make you a Gen Xer or slightly at the edge of that, I guess?
I'm smack dab in the middle of Gen X. I couldn't be any more Gen X, the way I act, the way I talk.
So the Gen Xers are obviously funnier than the Gen Zers.
Are you a Gen Z, Jay?
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Gen. What year were you born?
82. So yeah.
82. You're a older millennial.
Oh yeah, you're an elder millennial. Nice.
Well, I do millennials versus Gen X. I haven't done Gen Z. Sometimes someone will be on the cusp and we'll just bump them into the show.
Nice.
It's a big difference from the comics. The world that they grow up in and live in is completely different. I grew up watching reruns of the Brady Bunch and Facts of Life and all these shows, and these kids grew up with cell phones and iPads and the internet. How much smarter would we be if we grew up with the internet?
Right.
Oh, God. Yeah. We had to deal with the weird sound that they had and the dial-up and everything. And, that's assuming you could afford a computer. Otherwise, your interaction was going outside, running around and telling jokes and goofing off and throwing sticks at signs and cars, I guess.
Which, to be honest, that brings me to a question I really wanted to ask you. I really want to know, who do you think has the darkest, funniest humor? What age group?
Oh, God.
Do you think one is more than the other?
No. There's always an outlier. There's always a guy.
Oh.
It's usually a guy. It's usually one of these dudes that just says some really dark, crazy stuff. And you're like, he's funny. I can't use him on my show, but he's funny.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got a guy in mind that does a lot of dark humor. Actually, I got two guys.
Oh. Wow.
There's a guy, he does, in the right crowd, he kills. I had to follow him one time, and I was so nervous, I forgot a couple of my lines. But yeah, a lot of switches, a lot of dead baby rape jokes. You're like, geez.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like stuff that we would never even think of saying on stage, and he does it. And my wife's dad, cancer this, and you're going, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. That's a strange pivot too.
That's actually hilarious because when I say dark humor, I'm barely skimming it. Like I'm thinking of more like, like he's using his trauma as a joke. But no, I guess it's worse.
Yeah, it's more they're more like jokey guys, set up punchline,
Oh,
the
geez.
Anthony Jeselniks of the world, if you will.
Sure, sure. What would be the best piece of advice that you've received from another comedian, if there's any such superficial question to ask a comedian?
No one's ever given me great comedic advice, but the advice that I give to comics, I go, there's only two things you can do: write and get on stage. That's it. People want to take a shortcut. They want to, I know a guy who takes a bunch of classes. I'm like, you got to put the time in, or else it doesn't, you have to put the time in. That's the only way to do it. Last year, a friend of mine was like, hey, go on the road where no one's going to see you and air out, your headlining sets. So I was doing a lot of that. And every time I get off stage, I'm a better comic. You could just go, okay, change this line, do this differently. And then sometimes still, it's almost like a pitcher, right? They go out to the mound and they pitch, but not every time, they're going to strike out 9 and pitch the whole game and get a W. Sometimes they still get a W, but it just, the craziest thing about stand-up is no shows are the same. No two shows are the same. So a friend of mine recently came to watch me do a headlining set, and the crowd was ready for stand-up, and they loved me. And I did a lot of crowd work. They were very giving. They were a lot of fun. And it was just, he's like, man, I really enjoyed the show. But that was it. That show is not coming back. We're never going to have that show again.
Yeah, you'll never have that same circumstance. And there's always like
Right.
an endless slew of jokes that are in your toolbox that just, you can't just perfectly script it out and go, okay, I'm going to do a 6-minute set and be perfectly fine.
Right. Like the guy was wearing fuchsia shoes, so I was making fun of him. The comic who went before me did a little bit of crowd work, so I knew that they were down with it. But yeah, you guys have to definitely come out to a show. I have the next 6 weeks. I'm at Second City.
Okay,
Oh,
very
good.
cool.
We have
very
time.
cool.
We have time.
So when you're not writing, what's your thing to do? Do you just walk around and experience and the jokes naturally come to you, or?
It's really interesting. You can sit and write. A lot of comics are like, I can't even do that. It's too painful. I can't get anything. For me, I'll just see something, or I'll have an idea, or I don't know if you saw the joke about the breastfeeding station. That was sitting in a notebook that I saw a breastfeeding station, and that's now one of my biggest laughs. I say I wasn't hungry, but I got in line anyway. Glad I did,
Oh
because
my
I slept
God.
yeah. I say glad I did because I slept like a baby on that flight, cried for the first 5 minutes and just dozed off. So that was sitting in a notebook for a whole year before I figured out the boom boom. My buddy kind of wrote a spoof of some other guy's joke, and I wrote a spoof of my buddy's joke, but with my point of view. And that joke is, I say, food prices are getting out of control. Here's how I know they're out of control, because I was watching Pornhub the other day, and the woman usually orders a pizza and then sleeps with the pizza delivery guy. This time she made a frozen pizza at home and slept with her stepson instead.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's why
So
we
that's-
have all those videos.
Yeah, that's just a fun throwaway, because everything is stepson porn now.
Exactly. Like, so now I know.
It's gotten into this weird phase because, like, every year it seems like the trend changes for what people like. And the most recent one, The Raven, you'd be a little bit more attuned to this.
The majority of porn watched last year in 2023 was anime.
Anime. So it's not even real anymore.
No, we like our women fake, and as in completely animated and not real.
Do they have an animated pizza delivery plot yet?
I have not.
Oh, and a stepson.
I don't. They even have the computer generated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like none of it's even real. These people aren't even real. It's just all anime weirdness. That I don't know. These kids are getting warped. But you mentioned it in a podcast before. You said, imagine what it would be like if we grew up and we had just endless access to any of that adult material. Like, we had to kind of scrounge for it and find like a penthouse that was in a basement, or not to go ahead and jump into porn talk or anything on there. But yeah,
I think the millennials were not having a lot of sex because these guys were just watching porn all the time.
Exactly. We got the internet, and then we were like, "Oh my god." Porn.
Everyone's just like, why have the real thing when you could just go ahead and doom scroll yourself into oblivion?
There is so much stuff on the internet. Whatever your taste is, you can find it. They have everything on there.
Even things you never thought of before.
Oh, yeah. Like, I would see stuff online. I'd be like, who watches this?
Exactly.
Then, like, a year later, I'm like, oh, I totally get this. Yeah, this is hot.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, my God.
I went back and watched it. I didn't know if I liked it, so I had to watch it again.
I actually do get that. I feel that.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. I don't know.
Porn might be like a part that, like, I don't know. Do you think it contributes to writer's block, or does it help relieve it? It's one of those things that's give or take, I guess, based on the person.
I have no idea. I do it really weird. What I'll do is I'll say time to get serious, and then I'll take all my notebooks out like I'm doing right now, and then I'll work on really old jokes and really new ones, and then kind of merge them and morph them into where I want them to be. But I don't know. I mean, if I ever win an award and give a shout out to a porn star, then I guess we'll know the answer.
Who's your favorite porn star?
Oh, that's a weird one.
Jeez, yeah, I don't even know anymore. I used to know them all back in the day. There's so many new ones. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, yeah, we don't know names now. We used to. It's not a thing anymore.
Back in the day, you were a star. Now it's like, now there's people making millions of dollars just showing bikinis and their feet on OnlyFans.
Pretty much. It's like every one of your coworkers and Emily down the street.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You'll see these women on TikTok who are like, I make $40,000 a month just showing my feet on Instagram. I'm like,
so yeah. How do you find a balance between pushing boundaries and being respectful in comedy? Because there is that line, and it has evolved. I think it's evolved since the millennials and everything else that's going on with the younger kids now. Exactly. Everything's so hypersensitive.
Yeah, it really is. I can get away with a lot of stuff on the road. I can get away with more stuff on the road than I can, let's say, at a Second City or a Zany's downtown. Zany's in the suburbs, I can get away with a lot more. So it's just the woker generation. You know, I do a joke about a hooker. In my mind, they're called sex workers. They're not hookers. You know, I'm like,
yeah, the changing of words. Yeah, the manipulation of, like, all of a sudden it's no longer, you can't even say hooker because it's offensive.
Right. So sometimes I'll do a little bit of different jokes. Sometimes I'll just push through them and go, these are the jokes. Laugh, don't laugh. I don't care. I went up to Zany's beginning of the month, and it was all young kids, all youngsters, all 25-year-olds. So I just said, I opened up with, I know you guys all think I look like a divorced dad who's going to talk to you about Bitcoin. So right away, they all laughed.
Oh, my God.
Because I'm getting to that age where I kind of look like a divorced dad,
Well, yeah, and then you can work the crowd a little bit and be like, you lucky 25-year-olds, you have so much hope still and goals, and you got hot girlfriends and everything, too.
Yeah. See, I kind of tap dance around a lot of, calling someone hot or fat or whatever. I don't really do any of that. I mean, I have a joke where I have a fictitious woman chained up in my basement. And I know when I do like upscale couples or, young people, that's not their favorite joke. But like at Laugh Factory, they love that joke because it's a joke.
Yeah.
They get it. Right. They're like, okay, we know he doesn't really have a woman chained up in his basement.
You're not a serial killer. You're a comedian.
Yeah. There's never been a serial killer comedian. Knock on wood. No one's ever been like.
Knock on wood, but please tell me if there is.
So here's what I was joking. I was watching Netflix. I go, we never have a comedian be a serial killer. Like, I could never be a serial killer because all my friends would call each other and be like, oh, wow, Todd finally got a special on Netflix. Heard he killed, right?
Oh, no.
Right? Like, you can't. I don't want that joke.
Everyone would know the bit while they're on the side of the stage. You're like, yeah, I killed someone today. And they'd be cracking up hysterically about it. And then the crowd's like, I don't know, is he serious? I mean, he starts every time he comes to a new city. It seems like there's serial comedy that's going on.
Serial.
I think that's the worst thing you could do is be a serial killer, because with the cameras these days, you're going to get caught.
Yeah, nowadays, if you do anything, there's always a camera or something. You're like, oh, there's going to be a ring that sees me kicking over a mailbox, or, I don't know, running through my neighbor's flowers, or, breaking into a building, I guess. Yeah, that too. But
maybe that's why they went extinct, I think,
You two know about the smiley face killer?
No, tell me. I sort of heard something, but give us a breakdown.
So the smiley face killer was murdering white males aged 22 to age 32. And they were usually drunk by themselves, and he threw them into the lake or the river. And I might have drank too much at a street festival, and to sober up, I decided to walk home. And I walked over the river, and my friend was like, the smiley face killer could have got you. I go, oh, yeah, I know he saw me. He saw me from behind and was like, oh, yeah, my next victim. And then rolled up and looked at my face and was like, I just got catfished, and drove off.
Or better yet, have your friend sit in a van, and then you just get plowed on a bunch of fireball and walk around the street where you think the crime will happen, so you guys can try to bust the perp in real time.
It's funny because some of the female comics will be like, it's a woman. We know it's a woman. They're like, but the smiley face killer is gone over lots of different states because people aren't disappearing in Chicago anymore that I know of.
Yeah, for a while, there was like a summer where it seemed like, just like you mentioned, white males between that 25, 32 years, they're like, hey, do not walk past or go past this area after hours. There's been people apparently getting thrown in the river or taken somewhere, but yeah, they couldn't find it out. We had a serial killer for a while, and just the media reporting on it, and then all of the social media, because with social media, everything just travels super fast. Yeah. But like everyone then, I think, scared him off, or her off in this case.
Yeah, because they've been in other states. And the thing is, that's crazy, is that the one guy was from like Ireland, and his friend took to TikTok, and he's like, no one's talking about this. My friend went missing. No one will help me. And then his friend came up dead. And he's like, I've been trying to tell you he's missing. And that's when I first started hearing about it. And then my friends started all texting about it in the group text.
Man, so I have to look into this. I mean, Raven, you're more of the serial killer profile type. You're always obsessing and reading about that stuff and doing the true crime podcast. I guess this just became a true crime podcast here for a minute.
It did now. No, I've never heard of it. And if I have, I don't remember. I'm more of the old school crime, like Ted Bundy, Charlie.
Who's your favorite?
Charlie Manson.
Yeah, I got it.
But like out of all the serial killers in the world, Todd, who do you think would be the best comedian? I would think off the bat, just based on the charisma, it would be something like a Ted Bundy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one dude was a clown.
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
Gacy.
Yeah, he's from around here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had this guy do some work for me, and he's like, yeah, I grew up on the plot of land. My parents bought Gacy's house, tore it down, and built the lot. I think you have to tell people, hey, this was where John Wayne Gacy, and I think they sold it to a foreign family. That's like, we don't know from that.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, whoa.
They built like one of those like Park Ridge mansions on the little lot where it goes straight up. So they built a really nice big house on that. No way would I ever live.
Yeah, in a serial killer's house, that would be.
Oh God, no.
No, that's a lot of bad juju.
Even then, if like people like buy houses sometimes because they're like, our intention is to pass away here because they're thinking there's no ghosts here, and then we'll be the only ghosts here. I guess it's the ego. You obviously don't get that option if you're buried in somebody's cellar after they serial killed you along with a handful of other people.
I mean, if I watched a documentary before all these documentaries came out, and Bundy was digging up his own floorboards and burying bodies, and God. I forgot what it took them weeks to excavate the whole basement and all them. But when you go back and look at it, you're like, the dude's car was at his work. Like nowadays, but back then it was.
It would have been done and done. He would have been caught right away. But yeah, back then it wouldn't have happened like that, you know?
Yeah.
They got away with everything.
Yeah, now forget it. They check your cell phone records, your credit card records.
Yeah, you have no way to escape, even if you pulled a bunch of money out and you're like, I'm just going to drive away. They can track every bill, I bet. If you have $100 bill, it has a number on it. I mean,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
They have those bills where they're like, you can track this bill, go to this website. It's like that for every dollar. So even if it's down to a dollar amount, they could go, oh, you spent $26 at this diner. You spent a $100 bill at this gas station. You're screwed. You'd have to turn around and find somebody that's like, hey, I'll trade you 100 for 100, and now they become an accessory to murder without even knowing it.
Jesus.
And then they drive on over to one of the random out-of-town, out-of-county comedy clubs, and they put on a bit. You go, holy shit, this guy's fucking awesome. This is great.
There's definitely a lot of people that do stand up that are a little creepy. They're just, maybe like open mic people or people that have been around for a while, and you're like, man, these are creepy.
Do you think, you have to push yourself, obviously, more than just putting the time in? You have to get away from the venues you get comfortable in, right? Like, are there places you won't play at just because it's just, no, you don't want to get something thrown at your head or something?
I don't do, really shitty bar gigs. Someone offered me to do a show in really far away. It was like an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 20 minutes for free on a Sunday. He's like, yeah, you can do 15 to 20 minutes. I go, no. And he got mad at me. Then I called him a couple of days later. I go, how was the show? It was a typical bar show, and they were talking, and it was a little light. I go, yeah, that's exactly why. Yeah. But I think with comics is if someone's paying me, I'll usually take the money and show up. I think if it's a bad fit for me, so if they want like a church, if a church was like, hey, we want you to perform here, I wouldn't do it. I'd go, let me get you a comic who can do this.
Yeah, that's where it's good to have that plug where you could look and say, my comedy is a little off for this crowd. And
right. Like I know someone who did he did a birthday party, and he did way too much time, and he ended up just holding them captive. And it's like, well, that's not fair. That's not why they hired you. So I'm very mindful, and I try to put myself in the right situations. There's a lot of comics right now. So there are a lot of us. And there's a lot of funny comics in Chicago. There really is.
Is there a process you go through before you get on a stage or put yourself even into a mood for writing?
Yeah, I usually listen to my headphones and listen to my music. If I sit and talk too much, then I'm not in the zone. I can usually tell depending on how loose I am. So if I'm kind of moving around and dancing a little and I'm kind of like, let's do this, then I know, okay, it's going to go pretty well. But if I'm like rushed and I get down there, like I did a show where I was cold. I hate being cold. So I'm never funny when I'm freezing. Like they put us in a basement with no heat. And I'm like, oh.
It was already minus 32 outside, and
it was like the coldest day of the year. And so, but I'm like, let me get back on that stage. Let me redeem myself. It's also getting better as a comic, but some of the shows, there's nothing you can do. You're just like, I'm going to eat it tonight. I call it eating a bag of dicks. So I'm like, I'm going to eat a bag of dicks.
Well, you have a good outlook on that, because even then, if you're saying a joke that goes sour, you already know, okay, it's going to just be an off night. Everyone's going to be weird. It's, this is what happens on a Blues Day Tuesday or something. I don't know.
We call it being a little tight. Sometimes the show starts right away. They were waiting in the hallway to get in. They just sat down. It's cold outside. They haven't had a drink yet. Sometimes when I host a show, they're ordering drinks. So I'm up on stage. They're not hearing all the words. They're still ordering drinks. They're getting saddled. A lot of times that middle spot is the sweet spot. So they've just gotten their drink. They're paying attention. There was already a comic. So sometimes that's a great spot to be in. And sometimes there's just a 2-person show. Sometimes it's like you never know. You just now I learned, a comic told me, we were on the road together, and he said, don't expect anything. Just don't expect anything. Just have fun. Do your thing. And it's helped me out. It's helped me to go up there and be like, wow. I've done shows where they turn the lights on and we have a beer with the people. And I see the people sitting at the bar after the show. And I'm like, I am afraid of every single person sitting at this bar.
Because you're afraid they're just going to judge you? Or...
They look like they're scary people.
Well, there's always those people, too, in a crowd, or you'll bump into them, and they're like, yeah, I think I got the knack for this. I could go ahead and get up on that stage and do what you do. And, like, what would your response be to them?
Go to an open mic and try it. I try to get out of that conversation as fast as possible, because after a show, everyone wants to tell me a joke.
Yeah.
I'm always shocked. I did a show, and after the show, we went to the bar, and people were like, hey, you did this joke, and they knew all my jokes. They were like, you were great. I'm like, I needed you to laugh a little harder during the show.
Yeah.
And they wanted to know if the jokes are true, and all the jokes come from somewhere. So they're all coming from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a hive mind to it. Or you've hosted a slew of comedy showcases, and you had a sweet mustache back in 2020. Have you ever thought of maybe growing that back?
No.
It seemed like it'd be a good part of the act. It seems like it
is. I grew my hair out and my mustache, and I looked in the mirror, and I had the beard, and I'll go, nobody's believing these dating jokes, because you look at me and go, no girl wants to go out with this guy.
So then what's the latest app you use to go out with somebody?
None of them.
It's whoever you meet. You're just like, all right, it's got to be in person now. I mean,
I still have tons of app jokes. You know, sometimes I'll go on an app and just look for jokes on there. I'm not looking at the girls. I'm looking for a joke. There was one where there was a woman, and she was wearing like a sexy skirt, and she had a tattoo on her leg, and it was all writing all the way down to her knee. And I was like, ew, I'm not going out with her, because I hate reading.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't want to sit there and be like, what does your tattoo say? And just sit there and, it's really easy to find me because I have stalkers. You'd be surprised. I get stalkers, and I'm like, who's stalking me?
I could see that. For real. Google your name. You come right up, man.
You know what happened before? I had to get all my social media and really start working the internet, because Todd Glover, the doctor, the veterinarian, was writing prescriptions to dogs and then having the people give him the drugs, which I'm like, okay, I get it. It's fine. And then he tried to roofie one of his 12-year-old daughter's friends. And I was like, oops. Yeah, he's going to spend, and this is in like Texas, so it's not going to go well in Texas, right? No. They don't mess around. So luckily now when you Google me, I come up and not bad Todd.
Yeah, not bad Todd. We got good Todd.
It's not Florida Man Todd or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, so, but I'm easy to find, and come to a show. If you guys want to come for some of the shows, I can get you tickets. For some of them, you got to pay for.
Absolutely. I completely get it. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All that.
Whenever you need me to come on or do whatever, just let me know.
All right.
I'm always
absolutely
up for chatting or
definitely.
Bye. Take care.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much. Todd Glover for Second City, Chicago, and Zanies. Check out toddglovercomedy.com. We appreciate you, my friend.
Take care.
All right. Take care. And with that, let's go ahead and check in with Alan's Angry Spoooorrrrts.
I'm sorry I missed Todd tonight. I had to work. Now I'm driving home. Right now it's Alan's Angry Get to the Gas Station Before I Run Out of Gas segment. But this is what I'm angry about today. They introduced yesterday, the Hawks and the Bulls introduced that they are going to do something called the 1901 Project. It's a really cool thing that they're doing. They're going to revamp the West Side. It's going to be like a 10-year project. They are investing $7 billion of money into it. $7 billion fucking dollars between the Wirtz and the Reinsdorf family. I don't know how much of that is just going to get paid through loans. But my big angry sports thing today is, why the fuck can't any of that money go to the White Sox? Why? Why must I suffer every year? There's going to be another shitty fucking baseball team on the goddamn field next year. Another fucking shitty Bulls team that maybe makes the playoffs and dies in the first round. $7 billion. Give us $30 or something. Give me $30. Give me $30 and I'll fill my fucking gas tank right now. I won't even fill it, but, you know, that's all I want. That's all I want is, you know, that. That's my Angry Sports rant for the night.
It's Alan's Angry Sports. Hey, what's up? It's JD, and One Body, One Life established their clinic as an alternative health and wellness cannabis clinic to help their patients heal and reduce their chronic medical symptoms in a natural way using cannabis as their medicine. If you experience headaches, migraines, aches and pains, and inflammation, contact One Body, One Life today. Maybe you have stomach issues related to nervousness, stress, anxiety, PTSD, or depression. No matter how intense or minor your symptoms are, you may qualify. If you have trouble sleeping at night, experience restlessness, the doctors at One Body, One Life can help get your provisional medical cannabis card in as little as 24 hours. I use them, and the process was simple. To see a list of qualifying medical conditions, go to onebodynolife.net. One Body, One Life conducts telemedicine patient evaluations throughout the entire state of Illinois. Cannabis is intended for adults 21 and over and can impair cognition that may be habit-forming. Do not operate heavy machinery or a motor vehicle while under the influence of cannabis. Void in states where prohibited and may carry significant penalties based on jurisdictions or under federal law for the time being. Well, thank you so much, Alan, there for Alan's Angry Sports. I also want to thank Todd Glover for being on the podcast today, and of course, the Raven.
Hello.
And with that, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Press that subscribe button because Lord knows we need to try to figure out how to monetize this fucker. And with that, we want to say thank you so much. Have a great evening, and
Thank you for listening to us.
it's Tales from a Dive Bar podcast.